my name is Alexandra de la Vega Muñoz, and today I'm going to talk to you about Ireland. So starting off with the location, Ireland is located in northern Europe and north of the Atlantic Ocean. Ireland is known as the second largest island on Europe, and it's also said that once Ireland was covered by glaciers, which because of the movement of the earth, it caused them to melt and create these vast and green paradises. And that's the first fun fact that I'm going to mention. The nickname of this island is Emerald Island due to these beautiful and vast green paradises. And the second fun fact is that St. Valentine's remains. I think that everyone knows who this person is. He's the founder of Valentine's Day. And legend says actually that a letter that he sent to his daughter actually said, "For my Valentine." And that's where the tradition started. And his remains are actually in Dublin City, which is the capital of Ireland, on Whitefriars Street Church. The third fun fact is that the first potato in Europe was planted in Ireland around 1588. So this is actually a pretty old harvest. And throughout the history, the potatoes were the main supplement of food for this country. So now we're going to talk about the national symbol. Contrary to popular belief, the national symbol isn't the four-leaf clover. It is actually the mighty harp. So now we're going to talk about the last fun fact about this place, which is the national sport known as hurling, which is the fastest one in the world. Actually, the ball of this sport can go up to 120 kilometers per hour. Now we're going to talk about a few facts about the people. The first one is that the Irish drink on average 131.1 liters of beer per year. So the national drink of this country is Guinness. It is known worldwide and it is very famous when you visit this country. But be very careful because the units of alcohol of this drink are 2.3 units, which seems like a little, but if you compare it with the Mexican beer, which only surpasses the 1 unit of alcohol, it is actually a pretty big difference. So be careful if you're not an experienced drinker of this beer. So now we're going to talk about the second fact, that it's about the people. Actually, 380,000 people of Ireland are fluent on Irish Gaelic, which is the national and the ancient language of this country. Now we're going to talk about the family names, which are also derived from Irish Gaelic. The first one is that Mac means son of and O means grandson of on Gaelic. So now we're going to talk about the traditions. I think the first one is known by everybody who's seeing this video right now, because St. Patrick's Day is celebrated worldwide. There's actually a festivity on New York City, it's a parade, which is very famous because there's a lot of Irish influence in that country. If you don't know, St. Patrick's Day is celebrated on March 17, and it celebrates the arrival of Christianity on Ireland. Now we're going to talk about the Pox festivity. This is actually a pretty fun tradition because a mountain goat, is made king for 3 days. It is a celebration which travels far back from the arrival of Christianity, and it is said that if you make a goat a king for 3 days, it will bring you a fruitful harvest. Now we're going to talk about the Rose of Tralee, which is celebrated from the 21st to the 25th of August, and it celebrates the empowerment of young women. This tradition has been celebrated for now 90 years, so it's actually pretty old. Now we're going to talk about a little bit about the history and culture. I tried to make it as brief as possible, since Ireland is a very, very big country and a very old country, and it has a lot of history. So talking about when was first inhabited Ireland, it was assumed that by historians the Ireland was inhabited 10,000 years ago, and at the end of the 8th and beginning of the 9th century, Vikings were mixed with the Irish culture and founded Dublin. Actually, before this, the Celts, which is a tribe which is very influential to this Irish culture, it created the Celtic language, and nowadays the Gaelic Irish is actually a derivative of the Celtic language. Now we're going to talk about the union with Great Britain. Soon afterwards this event, the Great Famine occurred. This is a very sad point of history in the Irish culture because 4 million people died due to desnutrition, and this actually happened because of a parasite which infected the potatoes, and the potatoes were the main supplement of food for this country. So it caused a lot of immigration. Actually, if you are nowadays known about the public events, you know that Ireland has a great rate of immigration to the United States and also different parts of the world like Australia. And that's basically when it started in the Great Famine, which was centuries ago. Now we're going to talk about the War of Independence. The War of Independence ended on 1919, and this event caused the separation of Ireland into two, into Northern Ireland and the Irish Free State. Nowadays, the Northern Ireland is under British rule, and the Republic of Ireland is now independent. Now we're going to talk about what to do and not to do in this country. First off, I think that it is acceptable for all the countries is that you don't trust strangers, and specifically on Ireland, you don't trust strangers that offer you a leprechaun. This is actually a very common tourist trap, and it is known for trafficking humans. So be very careful about that and don't ask for leprechauns. Now we're going to talk about a pub tradition is that if someone buys you a drink, you have to return them a favor. Ireland is very, very strict in this ambit because if you go to the pub, you are going to make new friends. Actually, the tables are not separated. It is just a big table for you to know and meet new people. So if someone buys you a drink, you have to return them the favor to seal that relationship. Now we're going to talk about being respectful of their history. I think that this also covers the entire world because you have to be respectful at all times. Specifically to the Irish culture, you don't mention the Civil War because nowadays it's a very controversial topic talking about politics because there are two sides that are just fighting like the Civil War. So be very careful about that because you don't want to get yourself into trouble. And I think that this has to be whenever you are traveling to another country, because for example when you go to Germany you don't mention World War II, and so be very respectful of their culture. Now we're going to talk about driving. If you are driving on an island, be sure that you travel on your left because this is the side where the Irish people drive. So if you travel to the right, you may cause an accident, so be very careful about that. And the fifth one is that everyone in the world is mixed. This means that Irish culture is very, very mixed because they had the Vikings influence, the Celts influence, and if you were talking about more recent, they had the Union of Great Britain. So they are very, very mixed. So if you are saying that you are 100% Irish, it is actually nonsense, and people will only laugh at you. So be very careful about that. Now we're going to talk about the most common vocabulary and phrases. The first one is the jacks. This actually means the bathroom. So instead of saying I'm going to the restroom, you are going to say I'm going to the jacks. The second one is the press. This only means the cup word. It is a pretty known word because people drink a lot of beer in that country. They go out to a lot of pubs. So the press is a very common word. The third one is arseway. This sounds like a very, very naughty word, but it actually isn't. It just means that something came out terribly wrong. Now we're going to talk about beyond. This means that you are somewhere else that you are not right now. So it can be from the corner of a room to the other side of the world. So for example, instead of saying I'm going somewhere else, you are saying I'm going beyond. The fifth one is mineral. This actually just means a soft drink, for example, Coca-Cola, Fanta, Pepsi. So instead of saying I'm going to drink a soft drink, you say I'm going to drink a mineral. The sixth one, we're going to start with the phrases. The sixth one is going out to the massages. This just means that I'm going out shopping. So this is not like a FBI thing or anything secret. It just means that you are going to the mall. So you are going to say, I'm going to the massages to buy, I don't know, clothes, a pair of shoes, or something like that. The seventh one is a wheel of the time. This is actually most common use when you are saying goodbye to a person and you want to thank them because of a very, very pleasant time. So you say, I had a whale of a time. The eighth one is put the heart crosswise. This just it is used when you are scaring someone. So if you take someone off guard and you are scaring them, he is going to say, or she is going to say, "Oh, you put my heart crosswise," or something like that. The ninth one is like hen sticks. This means that something is very rare because hen sticks are very rare. The tenth one and the last one is go away out of that. Sorry for my pronunciation. Go out of way of that. It just means something of disbelief. So this is most commonly used when someone gets a compliment and they don't believe you. They say, "Go away that. Go away out of that." So now we're going to say the difference in pronunciation. The first one is that the is pronounced as D. So instead of saying this, you say this, this. The second one is that I is replaced by oi. So instead of saying this, you say dos, dois. And instead of saying Irish, you say Irish or something like that. The third one is that the R transforms to a R. Irish people are they pronounce a lot of the R's. So instead of saying realization, you say realization or something like that. The fourth one is all the letters L are pronounced at the front of your mouth. So instead of saying bubble, you say bubble, bubble. Or instead of saying lemon, you say lemon, lemon. This actually doesn't change a thing because lemon is pronounced at the front of your mouth. So it is very, very confusing, I know, but you are going to get used to it, don't worry. Irish language, well, the English Irish is not that difficult to understand, but it is very difficult to pronounce it. So be sure that you practice before you are going to go there. So that's basically it for this presentation. These are the references in case you want to know more about Ireland. And thank you so much for your time.